This is the voice of the report of the week, signing on. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone listening or watching. This is VORW, the voice of the report of the week. The YouTube broadcast, or podcast, or the YouTube service, if you wish to call it that. This is VORW, the voice of the report of the week, on the YouTube. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit after 3. Just got in the door, went in my, I was out on my mid-afternoon coffee run, because I realized I need mid-afternoon caffeine every single day. I learned that the hard way yesterday, when I got a caffeine headache, which was obviously no fun at all. If you've never gotten a caffeine headache, you don't want to know what that feels like. It's when, as some believe, you are addicted to the substance, and some claim caffeine isn't an addictive substance. But some claim that if you are addicted to it to a great extent, you'll get headaches with withdrawal, if you don't have too much, or enough, I guess you could say, a certain span of time. Sorry I'm out of breath, I just had to take a walk from the bus stop to my edifice here. My heart's beating away. But anyways. So today, sometimes I might tell you, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I take a public bus. It's been pretty good. Not too many problems. Saves money. Saves gas. You're helping the environment, right? What can go wrong? And most of the time, not much. The public bus, it's pretty smooth. Fairly safe, I guess you could say. It's alright. On rare occasion, will there be an instance where I will feel unsafe whilst riding the public bus. Very rare. In the 5 years I've been riding the public bus regularly, maybe 4 or 5 times have I felt actually physically unsafe riding this bus. Well, today was one of those days. I don't know. I guess it was the driver's fault, but he's a good guy, the driver. The bus driver. When I get off, he always tells me, he says, "Have a good day, sir." So you too. He's a good guy, he's always wearing a nice pressed shirt and tie. But I don't know what was going on with him today, because it wasn't an enjoyable experience at all, riding the public bus. Is it ever? That can be debated, but this was downright, it was scary in a way. Alright, and I'll elaborate for you now. It's just, we're driving along, right? I guess he was sleep deprived. I'm assuming he was either very sleep deprived, or he had something seriously wrong with him. That's all I can conclude from this. I don't know. But that's all I can conclude from this. We're driving along, and, I kind of look up through the bus, kind of at the front windshield so I could see where we're going. Sometimes I watch the cars, the exciting scenery. And I look at the driver, and I could kind of see, his face and his eyes in the mirror. His eyes are totally shut. The bus starts slowing down and starts drifting into the opposite incoming traffic. Then he opens his eyes, he looks around, gets back into our side of the road. And this must have happened at least 15 times. Thankfully no accidents. Some cars were honking at us and stuff, but I didn't feel safe. So I hope you could understand why. Because God forbid if things had played out a little bit differently, we could have crashed, could have had, like a maybe a semi or full-blown 18-wheeler speeding in. The bus veers onto the other side of the road a bit, smashes into us, and, well, I may not be here right now. So, just something to think about. Didn't feel safe. I know sleep deprivation is one of the leading causes of motor accidents, aside from, drunk driving and cell phones, etc. But, I made it. That's what's important. Made it home in one piece, and hope all the other passengers on the bus did as well. But boy, I swear that was a stressful experience. More so than it should be for a bus ride. That's for sure. More so than it should be. Hey, you're listening to VORW, the voice of the report of the week. We have a very important announcement to make in regards with our shortwave broadcast. Now, if you weren't familiar, VORW, the voice of the report of the week, while we can be heard on YouTube, of course, in the YouTube show, our YouTube service, right, the podcast, at the same time we can be heard via shortwave radio. Now, since January, we broadcast twice a week, every week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, from 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern to 12 o'clock midnight. That's 300 to 400 hours UTC. And we would broadcast in that time on a frequency 5110 kilohertz. It's a lower frequency for the most part. Works pretty good at night. Transmitter is 50 kilowatts. And it's able to be, the signal is able to be picked up around Eastern North America. Probably the Midwest, some of the South too. Got some good reception reports in there. Well, there's been some scheduling changes. If you wanted to listen to the broadcast this evening, you can tune into 5110 kilohertz shortwave, and you're going to hear this old preacher going on about how the world's going to end. His name's Brother Stare. He's crazy. He's on about probably 50 different shortwave frequencies, and he bought airtime on WBCQ, the station VORW is on. You'd hear this guy that sounds something like this.
The key to understanding the clue of these two kings is a...
You'd hear a voice like that. That's not me, of course. But his name is Brother Stare. He's this rich preacher. Absolutely insane. And he bought airtime on WBCQ. He bought the overnights on 5110. And my program had to be moved in order for his wish, to be fulfilled. And the way things work, people will side with where the money is. So, of course, I had to move my program. But WBCQ is a nice station. They wouldn't just bump me off the air. They're very friendly, they're very nice, and what they did to make up for it really is well worth it. VORW is moving times and frequencies now. We will be heard on shortwave every Thursday evening from 7 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on 7490 kilohertz. That's 7490 kilohertz. Now, 7490 is WBCQ's main transmitter. It's a high-powered shortwave transmitter, and the coverage extends strong signals across all of the continental United States, the majority of Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, South America, the Atlantic, Western Europe, Oceania. That's, Hawaii. Signal's even been heard in Australia from that frequency. So, we'll be heard on 7490, and the coverage area has been exponentially expanded for no cost at all. So, you could catch us using a WebSDR if you'd like. You could listen live, either with the Michigan site or mostly the Michigan site. I mean, you could use the Netherlands one, you could pick it up, but I'd listen via the Michigan site. And of course, I'll post the recordings to SoundCloud. But every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. They moved us to prime time also, which is pretty neat. So anyways, here we are, wasting your time, my time, everyone's time. It is what it is. So, the other day I visited 4chan, a board called R9K. That's how I will pronounce it. And I saw there was a thread about me. I gotta say, I was surprised. You know, sometimes I have to visit 4chan, because a lot of viewers come from 4chan, you know, it's just how it is. Yeah, 4chan really gave me a hard time in 2013 and some of 2014. You know, wasn't fun, wasn't good. But a lot of viewers come from 4chan. There's no denying that. And of course, there will be threads about me on that site. So sometimes I'll check in on some different boards. Sometimes someone will post something about me on the cooking board, CK, the fashion board, FA, the fitness board, FIT, or this board, R9K, which kind of focuses on like relationships and stuff. Though one can really interpret the meaning of that board different ways, but anyways, there's a thread about me on that board. And I went in and I wanted to answer some questions. You know, because sometimes a lot of people are wondering things about me, and sometimes false information is spread, or no information is spread. No one knows anything. So I try to go in there and just try to, you know, help out, just to answer some questions, do some Q&A, whatnot. But I gotta say, I was impressed. I really, truly was. The individuals in that thread and on that board were respectful, and actually had dignity. And I really have to give them credit for that. They had nice questions, they were kind, and they were respectful. And I just have to give them all credit for that. I really do. And that being said, there's a few shout-outs I would like to give. If I missed you, let me know, send me a message or whatnot, and we'll get you in there next show. But I'd like to give a shout-out to Pandobra. I'd also like to give a shout-out to Cutter HM, aka Macaroni Rascal. Likewise, I would like to give a shout-out to Gazer Wraithwell. And likewise, well, we're not giving a shout-out to an actual person here, but I'd like to give a shout-out to this gentleman's energy drink can collection. You can see it pictured here. If you look at the video right now, there it is. A fine collection indeed. So you can see his can collection there. He wanted me to give a shout-out to that, which I said I would happily oblige. So, there's his can collection. So that monster, the yellow one there, I thought that was pretty neat. I got a can collection going too, but nothing too fancy, just a few interesting little cans to remark upon, but I thought that was a pretty fine one, and well worthy of a shout-out. Anyway, with that being said, let's check out the inbox and the email, and let's check out the fan mail. Alright, so checking out the fan mail, let's see what we have in our mailbag today. Love the report of the week. Love your show. Usually listen in the mornings, getting ready for work. And it makes getting ready for the day a lot more enjoyable. Had a question for you. Forgive me if you've been addressed this before. What kind of evening wear do you prefer? Both in terms of clothes for lounging and watching TV, as well as what kind of pajamas you prefer. Thanks again for your show. Well, for the most part, in the evenings, if I'm lounging and watching TV, chances are I'm probably going to be wearing a pair of dress pants, pleated, creased, and cuffed, roomier and baggier. That's just my standard dress pants, the cut that I always like. Popular in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. And I usually probably just be wearing a shirt and tie. Sometimes a vest, sometimes maybe a sweater, but I always take my suit jacket off. Whenever I lay down, I always take the suit jacket off. It's something I don't wear when I'm laying down. Otherwise you'd kind of wrinkle it up, and that's not what you want. So, it's the one thing I change, but otherwise, pretty much that's what I wear when I lounge around, casually. It's comfortable. Pajamas, I usually wear a pair of men's, they call them sleeping pants. Don't know what the type of material it is, but it's very comfortable. It's something, of course, you could fall asleep in. Extremely comfortable. And with that, depending on the weather, I'll either wear it with a white t-shirt or a white tank top. I have a pair of those in blue, black. I have another black pair. I think those are a little too tight. And I have a pair of gray pinstripe ones, too. But I can't say I'm too big a fan of those. Thank you for your question. Hey there, the Report of the Week. I'm a longtime fan, and I thoroughly enjoy all your videos. I recently got back from a 4-day hiking trip with some friends, and your VORWs were the first things I watched upon my arrival home. Take from that what you will. After the VORW show previous from the last, I found myself checking out the early Energy Crisis episodes, and I have to say, you were as funny as anything. In this vein, my question is, what inspired you to start Energy Crisis all these years ago? Keep up the great videos from Joe. P.S. Would it be possible for you to shout out Daniel Bowden Haynes? Mr. Daniel Bowden Haynes, you have an official, formal Report of the Week shout out. I wish you the very best. 10 out of 10. Just kidding. 8 out of 10. Just because I don't give 10 out of 10s. So, what inspired me to start the Energy Crisis series all these years ago? Well, it was a sequence of events that just happened to be there, right place, right time. So I think of it, at least. For instance, you had the idea. I was kind of curious about, what would all these energy drinks taste like? I would see them in stores. Some commercials for 5-Hour Energy on the television. Thought to myself, well, what do these taste like? So I had the idea. Then I had the inspiration. I was inspired to do these by a review channel called Pizza Wars. They did pizza reviews. I know they reviewed food and I did drink, but a review was a review. And that inspired me to start doing my own reviews of energy drinks. The guy at Pizza Wars, who did this YouTube channel, you could find it still. I think he died. I seriously don't know what happened to him. He just all of a sudden stopped posting online and on his website in 2012 and never updated it since. So I fear something happened to him. But that's where I got my inspiration. And then I had the means. We had a new HD camera, a flip camera. Wasn't being used at all, so I utilized the resources. So that's how Energy Crisis came about, and then of course we started progressing and things started changing and whatnot, and we're still here. Still here, not going anywhere. This gentleman wants to know, what's your opinion on anime? I don't watch anime, but do I have a problem with it? I do not. I most certainly do not have a problem with anime. You are so hot. Thanks. This person writes, you are asking how I like coffee. Well, as I say, coffee is a chewable food. And congrats on the Shortwave show. Salutes. Chewable food. Chewable food. Hey, bro. I've been meaning to message you, and I figured now's a good time as any. I love listening to the new VORWs when I'm at work. Really helps the time pass by. Anyway, I have a question for you. I know you don't consider yourself normal by the standard definition of the word, and I feel like you own who you are and make it work for you, and that's an inspiration to all of the non-normal people out there. You make being different look cool, and you look good when you do it. So my question is, how do you feel about your typical normal person? You know, a typical person who goes out and drinks on the weekends, amongst other things. Do you dislike them? Do you have a nickname to refer to these people? I call them normies. Or do you just live and let live? P.S. I drink my coffee black and not too strong. Thanks, from Jason. Well, I try to give everyone a chance. You know, I try to give everyone a chance. I know I'm not normal. You know, I'm not your average person who'll go out and, go partying on the weekends. I spend my weekends staying indoors listening to shortwave radio for the most part. I try to give everyone a chance. I try to not be judgmental, and what I figure is I try to judge people based off of actions. Right? For the most part, you have the two types of normal people for me. You have the types who will, who are like the party people, they'll go out drinking, they'll see me, and they'll say, oh, what an autistic effing loser, all that, they'll mock me and make fun of me. Then you have the normal people who just don't care. They have their lives and don't care about yours. And that's pretty much two types. There's a third, which, the type that's respectful, but this is talking about the people mostly who just drink on the weekends and stuff, as you said. Your typical partier, etc. Do I dislike them? Not inherently, no. Do I favor those types of people? No. But do I dislike them? No. I base off of actions, then I'll make a decision. Now, do I have a nickname for these people? The normies. I've heard that nickname before, and I will be honest, I've used that nickname in my head, but most of the time I just call them normal people. Don't have any sort of nickname, but I've heard that name before, and I will say I've used it a few times. Thank you for messaging me. Are you in ISIS? Are you in ISIS? Please no. And I said no. I actually responded to that. I said no, and anyone who believes that I am is an idiot. And they said if they asked me if they want me to be their Valentine, and I said, well, it's about 2 months behind. And then they wanted to send me a donut, and that's when I cut things off. It's going too fast. Too fast. Hello, good sir. Hope all is well. Thought occurred to me. We've never seen what lurks on the other side of the room you review in. Perhaps, giving the camera a cheeky 360-degree spin will end the numerous fan theories. You played Ironic by Alanis Morissette on your radio show. As great as the song is, I was infuriated by her misuse of the term. None of the things she mentions are actually ironic. But that's not your fault, and I've already sent Alanis an angry note in crayon. By the way, can you please end one of your radio shows by saying, tune in next time, same bat time, same bat channel? Some questions. You're given the funds and resources to build your own theme park. What kind of rides, food, services, and themes do you choose? What do you call this musical place? This magical place? Okay. Now, I've never rode in a roller coaster, okay? But I'd definitely add a few of them, and they'd be good. They'd be pretty big, pretty fast, pretty impressive. We try to make everything affordable in this park. It would not only attract a large number of people to go to the park, but hopefully that outweigh the popularity that we'd hopefully get from lower prices and quality service. Would outweigh any maintenance costs that might be expensive, and hopefully garner a profit as well. Food fast food. It would either be independent contractors, or we could maybe get something with like a big chain or something. But that's kind of risky because that's always cheap. But, you know, the greasiest burgers possible. Greasy fries. Probably serve wings, onion rings. Soft beverages, caffeinated beverages. Though caffeinated beverages would limit refills on that. And if we chose to serve alcoholic beverages, there would be a limit of refills as well. But I don't know if alcohol and a theme park really work too well together. Themes, it would be darker, color-wise. You know, I don't know about a specific theme, but I mean, that just pose a problem in the summer, though. You know, I always like the color scheme of black and red, but, you know, I could see in the summer on like a hot day, it would you know, burn because the black absorbs all the heat. So that would be tough. A group of professional freelance terrorists takes over the park and the customer is hostage. You are stuck in your office with nothing but balloons, a bassoon, and a pet baboon at your disposal. How do you use them to escape or save the park? Well, what I do is, the baboon, the baboon is the wild card, alright? It could calmly sit there or it can start going nuts, and you don't know what it's going to do. So, I give the creature the bassoon, and I'd send it out the door, and see what it does. Afterwards, I'd start individually sending the balloons up, one by one, to kind of confuse them. They'd see these coming up, and they'd think, well, what if this is some sort of signal or whatnot? In the meantime, with the baboon with said instrument running around, either A, terrorizing the terrorists, or B, just doing nothing, you know, it would still confuse them. And in the meantime, I would call probably 911 and get out of there. Or I'd probably stay, but I'd call 911 and get the amusement park and said customers saved. Let's see how we are on time here. I'm gonna have to skip these, but we'll get back to them in the next show. Hopefully you could resend them to us. This guy says, if there's time, could you go on Wikipedia, click random article, and read out the page for us? Best wishes. Well, if it's not a long one, we'll do that right now. Wikipedia. Alright, let's go here. We're going to click on the random article, and we'll see what we find. Let's see. Random article. Port Gibson Female College. Port Gibson Female College was a female seminary founded in Port Gibson, Mississippi in 1843. It closed in 1908. History. The college was founded in 1843. In 1869, it was donated to the Methodist Episcopal Church, South. Unlike many small colleges in Mississippi, the Port Gibson Female College did not shut down during the Civil War. It closed in 1908. One of the college's original buildings now serves as the City Hall for Port Gibson. On the right is a picture of a postcard from Port Gibson Female College. See also women's colleges in the United States, timeline of women's colleges in the United States. And your references are from Horace Maillard de Bois, Hound Nimmons McTyre, A History of Methodism from 1916. History of Higher Education of Women in the South, Forgotten Books, page 198, retrieved 2012. And from Patty Carr Black, Marion Barnwell from 2002, Touring Literary, Mississippi, University Press of Mississippi. This article about a university or college in Mississippi is a stub. You can help Wikipedia by expanding it. Next question. Fan mail continues. You need to review some Popeyes. Popeyes. There used to be a standalone, Popeyes restaurant nearby. Not there anymore. Now it's like some steakhouse or something. But we're going to look around, and I think there's one. I think I can get something. Have to get it to go, but I think I'd be able to get something. So, Popeyes, don't take it off the table. Alright? This guy says, only just missed your R9K appearance. Big fan of your VORW show, and I'd love to receive it through podcatchers as well. Would it be possible to also publish a show as a podcast? The podcast community is very different from the radio community, but I feel you would fit in well. Also, I'd like to thank you for getting me into shortwave radio. It has been a delight. Kind regards, KP. Well, thank you, KP, and I'll definitely research into the podcasting community. I imagine it would be somewhat different, from the radio community, but they have similarities, that's for sure. So I'll look into it. I certainly shall. Hello again, dearest review brother. I was wondering if you might help me. I haven't been able to get on YouTube much recently, since about the time when you started your VORW radio show, so now I'm catching up on your efforts. You may have already commented on this, but I want to know if you might advise me on how I would go about listening to the shortwave show. I've had a look on the WBCQ page, but it appears to be a bit complex for my brain, as poxed as it is. You still have a soul of that beautiful white Christ. Keep well, friend. D. P.S. Whilst writing in the above, I watched a recent Screamin' Sicilian Holy Pepperoni review, which aroused me to put you on paper. You are a 10 out of 10. And here's some fan art. That's what you've been seeing the whole broadcast. I think that's pretty solid. I think that's worth an 8.5 out of 10. So anyways, to listen to the VORW show, now I would recommend you listen via a WebSDR. Alright? I'll give you a link to it. You click on the link, and you'll scroll down, and you'll see all these buttons, You'll see all these buttons. It'll look like you're at the command of the space shuttle or something. You'll see all these crazy buttons and dials and graphs and stuff, and you'll hear static, for the most part. So just come in at the allotted time. You'll see this little box where you could enter a number. And in that box, just type 7490. Make sure it's the only number in that box. Once you do that, click on a little button that says AM. And you'll be able to listen for good that way. That's all you need to do. Just type in 7490, click on the little button that says AM, and you'll be good to go, and you'll be able to listen live on shortwave. And I'll give you the link to the site, which you can do that. It's in Michigan, and 7490 will be coming in very nicely. And if the audio cuts out or something, just refresh the page and do it again. So I'll link that to you in the description. This person writes, I love the consistency in all of your videos. If you changed anything, I would be heartbroken. Thank you so much for being perfect, always. And you're perfect. No, thank you, though. I always try to be as consistent as possible. I do. Always try to be consistent. The videos have a format, and I stick to them, and that's what I've always done, and that's what I will do. So the consistency is not changing. The report of the week for life. Bless you. Bless you, my friend. Bless you. And our final letter. Sup, man. Fellow New Yorker here. Just wanted to know, you haven't reviewed Hot Pockets yet. LOL. So many varieties and a fancy new, quote, formula. They're kind of edible now. Go for it, bud. LOL. Cheers. FM. I would definitely look for them. That's one of the things I could easily get my hands on, and I'll certainly look for them as well. And this guy also, another letter that just came in, individual requested that I also review Hot Pockets. He says specifically the bacon and cheddar cheese melt. So it seemed to be new, easily attainable, and I'll see what I can do. I'll definitely try to get my hands on them. So that being said, we pretty much took care of the fan mail. Of course, if you have any letters, want to contact us, send us a message. I was going to say an email, but send us a message on YouTube. Just send us on YouTube. Click send message. Write us whatever you'd like to send. Fan art is appreciated. And that'll be that, and we'll read and respond to your message in the next VORW broadcast. If you'd like to contact us for more personal requests or business requests, you can message us. Email us at repweekinterview1@gmail.com. That's repweekinterview1@gmail.com, all one word. And if you'd like to contact us about our shortwave broadcast, email us at vorwinfo@gmail.com, and that too is one word, vorwinfo@gmail.com. This next segment of the show I recorded yesterday, and I'm just taking a walk. I used to do this back in the day, probably back in September or so, where I'd take this microphone with me and I would take a night walk and I'd just talk whilst I walked. My mind would drift to various topics, either positive or negative, but moral of the story, I walk, anything goes, regardless of what type of turn this show takes. Anything goes. Without further ado, bring you this portion of the show. That concludes today's VORW, recorded on Tuesday. I guess it's Tuesday, I think it is. Yeah. Recorded Tuesday, we now bring you yesterday's edition of The Walk. See you around. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. As said, taking a walk. So here we are. When I start up these recordings for taking a walk, I never have anything in mind. I just bring the microphone with me, the recording device, the audio device, and I just walk and I talk. Of course you might hear some noise, especially resounding sounds of a train horn, I would assume from a train. Not like we're really that close to any railroad tracks, but the sound carries at night. It's a night walk. It's dark out. And it's nighttime. Sun is down. Street lights are mostly on. And we're walking down these quiet, empty streets to record a VORW show, get some exercise, and clear your mind, really. That's why I do these walks. It is. But here we are. Now, if you're curious, I know some people are long-term VORW listeners, and I know some people aren't. I know a few of you have been listening to these VORW shows from the start, about a year ago. We'll talk about that later. And I know a few of you are probably listening for the first time and wondering what's going on right now. And that's understandable. This is a segment of the VORW program, which I introduced back when it was warm. Let's see. I'd say around late August, September, maybe October. Either way, the tail end of the warmth before the winter arrived. And what this is I would just take my walk and I would talk about various things. And it was a topic that, or a segment, I guess, that went over pretty well. So we're trying it out again. Pretty much, I just take my night walk and I just share my thoughts. I share my mind, whatever's on my mind. Of course, no editing. So if I'm in a good mood, I go on as positive, spiel. Or if I'm down and I go on this depressing monologue, no matter what, it's staying in. And that's that. So it's interesting, and since there's no format, it can lead to all sorts of interesting topics brought up and whatnot, or not so interesting. It's all random. You never know what you're gonna get. But I'm walking. To my left, it's a pretty big, massive parking lot. A really massive parking lot. Totally empty. There's just row after row after row of these fluorescent street lights lighting up this empty parking lot, surrounded in darkness. Looking at it, it looks kind of like the image you could see as like a desktop background, you know? Like this empty parking lot surrounded by blackness, just lit up by the fluorescent street lights. Neat. I mean, there's nobody there. There's no cars there. There's no cars anywhere. There's nobody here. If I didn't care, I could walk in there and, walk around, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna stay on the street and walk. I'm one of those people that likes to walk in the street. Well, you could get hit by a car. I understand that, and I take necessary precautions. Meaning, only on these big empty roads here do I walk in the street, when I can literally see a half mile to a mile in every direction. Either direction. I'll know if a car is coming and I can get back on the sidewalk. But anyways, so it's a Sunday night. A Sunday night, and walk we are. We're taking a walk. A walkie, as I sometimes call them. Let's get on the sidewalk here. Hope your Sunday was alright. I do. My Sunday, standard, I guess. Pretty standard. I didn't do all that much. I fell asleep. Tried to fall asleep around 4. Around 4. I could not fall asleep. I couldn't. Didn't happen. So, got back up. And I was up until 8 a.m. And thereafter, I fell asleep for a good 2 hours. Woke up at 10 a.m. Fell asleep at 1 p.m. Woke up at 3 p.m. So, then I stayed up. So today really was just a split sleep day. Up for a few hours, slept for a few hours, up for some more, And that's what I did. But otherwise, what did you accomplish today, review, bro? Nothing really. Nothing at all. Sometimes, at the end of each day, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes I'll reflect on it, and I'll look back. Sometimes I'll think, well, what did you do today? What did you accomplish? What happened to you this day? Did anything change in your life? Good or bad? Short or long term? Anything happen to you? And sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no. Today would be one of those days where no, nothing happened. I was up for a little while, listened to some Shortwave. I always tune into this one frequency on Sundays. 9840, I believe. From World Harvest Radio. They're a Christian shortwave station. And the reason I listen to them is because I play Christian music. And no, I'm not one of those, one of those people that only listens to that. But I always like hearing music on shortwave. Something about the acoustics, the analog conditions, as well as the fading of the broadcast, always, in my opinion, makes music sound better. And it's an unpopular opinion. Most people would say it makes music sound like crap, but, everyone has their opinions, their entitlements. So, I'll listen to that because it's music and it comes in clear, so why not? So I'll listen to that today. Turn it on, and it's just this one preacher, so shut that off. Didn't have anything else to listen to. So afterwards, I went back to sleep. Woke up 3 p.m. today. Went over, visited one of the relatives. I do this every weekend, just to check in on them. My grandmother, who's in her 90s, needs to be taken care of. I mean, she's doing good for her age, don't get me wrong, but, you still got to check in, of course, as you should. So, did that. Got some Dunkin' Donuts. Had a frozen pizza. And I sat around on the computer for 2 hours, and now here we are. So you can see how much I got done today. But, some days more things happen than others. Some days just drag on and on. Every day is 24 hours. There's no denying that. But some days seem to drag on. Some can seem as though they last a span of 2 weeks, whereas others seem to last a span of a mere 20 minutes. So, it's life. Sometimes in the space of 1 hour, events can happen that can change your life for better or for worse. Other times nothing will happen for 3 weeks. It's funny how that is, the inconsistency of life, but it's just how things are. And you never know what's going to happen. You have to always be prepared for anything. You really do. Myself, life's been pretty evened out. If anything, it's been better than it has been a year ago. Right now. Actually, I could say that definitely. It's better than it was back in 2014 and even 2013 and 2012. No doubt about it. It's better now than it is back then. But, it's just a funny thing, that's all. I was just thinking, some days, I'll look back on my life, and I'll just ponder. I'll look back at my accomplishments and failures, and mostly failures, to be honest, because I don't have too many accomplishments to look back on. But, just look back on things and, think about them. Well, what do you think about Review, bro? Well, I'll just look back on them and I'll just think about the event and how I reacted to it, the aftermath and the fallout, and the events prior to it occurring. I can think of a few examples that I'll discuss. Why not? Maybe just 1 or 2 examples. I don't know how much time I'll have to talk. But anyways, just for instance, I sometimes look back and think to myself, well, now we're at a traffic light here. We're gonna wait for a car to go by. There's no cars, otherwise I just cross, but there's a car going by, so we'll wait. But anyways, sometimes I'll look back and I'll say to myself, well, what would you consider to be the best year of your life? Was it 2007? Was it 2010, 2013, 2015, etc.? And always in my mind, it's something I think about. Usually, I'll just sometimes think about my life, and I say, well, what year was best for you, in your humble opinion? What year do you think was the best for you? and resounding every single time. Always the same exact answer mentally. I'll say to myself, 2012. You know? I'll say, easily, 2012 was the best, year in my existence thus far. But then I'll think back to it. I'll say, alright. Of course, this is a mental conversation with myself, my conscience, whatever. I'll say, alright. If you think 2012 was the best year of your life, prove it. Why do you think so? What happened in 2012 that makes it so better than 2002 or 2015? And you know what happens? I think back to 2012. I cannot think of one thing that makes it any more important or any better than 2013 or 2011, so on and so forth. Meaning, my mind picks this year, 2012, and glorifies it, in a sense, but offers no proof when you delve deeper into it that it is actually the best of years. Funny. The mind is a funny thing, my friends. There could be some explanations. You can say, alright, review, bro, you got something wrong with you. That's why you think like that. Maybe. Who am I to judge? I just figure I am who I am, and that's it. Nothing more to it, but that's fair. But anyways, it's just a funny thing, mine. I think back sometimes, and I just sometimes think of 2012 as the golden age of my life, but then when I really think about it, it wasn't a good year at all. For the first half of 2012, I was depressed. For the second half of 2012, I was stupid. By stupid, I don't mean mentally. I mean judgmentally. Though mentally, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed for sure. But 2012 wasn't a good year. 2013 wasn't. 2014 wasn't. And realistically, when I have to look into this, what was the best year of your life? Review, bra. I'll have to look. And when you really think about it, getting rid of all this 2012 BS, which is just a skewed vision of information that cannot be backed up by any means. When I really think about it, I have to say 2015 is the best year. Yeah, but review, bro. Well, let's be honest here. We're 4 months into 2015. How can that be the best year of your life? It just is. And that's all I can say. Compared to previous years, things have changed, both in life, as well as how I react to certain situations, how I adapt and react to different situations. And many dreams of mine have come true this year. Many. None of them I thought would, for at least a very long time. But they did, and I'll provide you with one example of that. For instance, my friends, shortwave radio. Since the summer of 2012, and consistently since 2013, I listened to shortwave radio as a hobby of mine. May not seem too interesting, shortwave radio, what's there to it, But it's a very unique spectrum, and I'm not going to put it on any of you to get into it, but I think it's neat. It entertains me, and it makes me happy. For me, that's what's important. But anyways. So, shortwave radio, right? For some time, I dreamed, after listening to all the shortwave broadcasters, all the international broadcasters on the bands, hearing these stations which lease out their airtime for anyone to buy, to be able to have your program heard worldwide, and have listeners all around the world to you on, the radio and whatnot. Well, it was a dream of mine. And, well, it was a dream to be, heard on the airwaves, specifically shortwave. Well, it was a dream I didn't think would come true for a very long time. Figured, well, some shortwave stations are expensive. Can be tens of thousands per month to be on the air. Not cheap. In other words, not cheap at all. So, seemed like a pretty unattainable dream, to be honest. It just did. I thought, well, maybe 10 years if I'm still around, have a job, be able to maybe buy airtime on some station, get a program on the air if I'm still interested in doing that. Well, things changed. In December of 2014, I was checking the website of this one shortwave station called WBCQ, which was known for its pretty low rates, catering to normal people, Meaning, while most shortwave stations are open to anyone to buy airtime, a lot of international broadcasters sometimes relay their programs. A lot of churches and religious stations, who people give, all their money to, relay their programs. Some people who don't know how they get money to relay their programs. Maybe they're rich. It's a lucrative business. But WBCQ is a different station. They offer reasonable airtime, and they believe in free speech. They call themselves free speech radio. That is, I think, First Amendment. So, they feel everyone has a right to get on the air, whether you have a lot of money or not. So they had a deal in December of 2014, which was as follows. $20. $20 per show. You're getting on the air right away. That's all it costs. I mean, some stations, for instance, this one in Tennessee called WWRB, it's not even a good station. The transmitters are they're crappy. I don't even think anyone listens to it. Charges $16,000 a month. It's just not a good station. It doesn't come in all too well. Sometimes don't even relay some of the programs. For $16,000 a month. That's what you gotta pay, and you're locked in. You can't get out. But WBCQ is good. The transmitters are 50 kilowatts each. Isn't bad. And coverage is pretty good. The staff is on point and very friendly. So, it's a good station. $20 an hour. So we jumped in there, got airtime for the VORW show, 2 programs a week on 5110. Boom. I was an international shortwave broadcaster years and years ahead of when I thought that would ever happen in life. And that's just one example of how things changed for the better in 2015. I know the deal started in 2014, but I got on the air in 2015, so this is one example. A dream of mine, which I thought may never be attained, was attained within under a year of its conception. And now, I mentioned earlier, the VORW show is getting moved to the 7490 transmitter. That's a frequency. The transmitter is higher powered, I think maybe around 100 kilowatts. Great coverage area. Can be heard very strong signals across the continental United States, Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, the Atlantic, Western and Central Europe, South America, and Oceania. So, greatly expanding there. One show per week, Thursdays, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. 7490 shortwave. But anyway, that's just one example. And I can list off several more, but I think we get the picture. So 2015 is really the best year for me. Now, believe me, just because it's the best year for me doesn't mean, I'm skipping down the street each and every day, beaming from ear to ear. I'm not. I still get depressed. Things still get bad. I still have my anxiety. But, I emphasize the word but, it's better than any year past previous. So we gotta know that. While I may sometimes look back to 2012 and say, oh yeah, it's the golden age, in reality, it's what I'm living in my life right now. And it's something I shouldn't squander. And sometimes I think I might be doing so by days like today, where I don't do anything. But then I think, well, was today a good day? Well, it wasn't too bad. Was it a bad day? No, I couldn't say it was. Were you happy today? Pretty happy. Not too bad, I can't complain. Well, that's how I look at days. And I see that, and I have a little dialogue with myself, and I think, well, I am pretty content with things as they are now. So why change them? Why take a risk and possibly ruin everything when I have a good little situation right now? I'm happy, content. Why mess with that? Yeah, things maybe could get better, but they could get really worse. And it's just something, I'm just talking, that's all. Here we are. Walk is getting close to its conclusion. We've been talking for about 26, 27 minutes here. I'm going to take up a latter part of the show. So this show pretty much just read the fan mail and, we have read the fan mail and then we'll play this recording and wrap things up afterwards, I imagine. Yeah. I'm gonna sleep well tonight, I'll tell you that. Probably gonna fall asleep around, I'm guessing 2 or 3. I'm gonna sleep tight, I am. I'm gonna sleep well, sleep straight through the night, and it'll work out nice. Here we are. I have nothing much really to say otherwise. Hope your week is going to be good. I do. Hope you're going to have a good week. Hope it will be fine. I know Mondays can be difficult. I know sometimes every day can be difficult. Just remember, though, As difficult as this may sound sometimes, things ever get bad, if things become difficult, if every day seems unbearable, and you feel that all life is suffering, just try to stay positive. And if you can't be that, because I know that's sometimes very difficult at times, just try to stay hopeful. Try to find something, anything, to keep you going from day to day. And I know even that can be difficult too sometimes. But just try, that's all I ask. We all go through rough times and difficult times, and sometimes every week can seem like a nightmare, a hell, a living hell, something we all dread. But just try to remain hopeful. Try to find something to keep going on for, to keep motivating you, to try and keep you happy, no matter how small it may be. Could be anything. Could be these VORW shows. Could be the weekend. Could be your next paycheck. Could be literally anything at all. Anything at all. But please try to find something and remain hopeful. No matter how big or small. Just something to keep us all going. Thank you all for listening. And I hope you all have a great week. We'll see you later. Remember, the VORW show on Shortwave is going to be broadcast Thursday evening from 7 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. on 7490 kilohertz. Tune in via your shortwave receiver, a WebSDR, or listen off the air on SoundCloud with our digital or analog recording. Reviews will be published sometime this week. Hope to get another YouTube VORW out for you next week. Thank you all for listening. Have a great week. Stay strong. We'll see you later. Take care.